Jack Myers is the author of The Future of Men, Masculinity in the 21st Century. He believes guys will, quote, be increasingly defined, dominated, and controlled by women. He's here. You don't mind being controlled by women, do you, Charlie?
I don't want to be controlled by anybody.
All right. He's here at the table along with CBS News contributor and New York Times reporter Jodi Kantor, and she's written extensively about gender and workplace issues. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Jack, this is really interesting. You say that male dominance is quickly fading. How did you come to that conclusion?
Well, it's really it's generational, and statistically, young men are defying gender norms. They're undereducated. They're being outlearned by women. They're being outeducated by women. They're being economically outperformed by women. The jobs that are being created now in the workplace are requiring a college education. Only 40% of college degrees are going to men versus 60% going to women, which is a flip of where we were in the 1970s. Economically, under 30, single unmarried women are out-earning single unmarried childless men under 30 by almost 20%.
So how does that change our
generational flip?
Right, and so how does that change our concept of masculinity?
Well, these young men are not their fathers, they're not their grandfathers. Young men who are growing up more and more in fatherless homes, growing up in homes where the woman is out earning her husband, where they're both working. They're not just defying traditional gender norms, they're not learning traditional gender norms. But yet when they come into the workforce, when they come into their adult years, these traditional gender norms are still being kind of imposed on them.
Jodi, what do you think of this?
What we see in our reporting is really that gender roles are converging more than ever before in society, whether you look at women taking combat positions in the military or fathers staying home. Almost nobody is living out the kind of gender script or marriage script that their parents did. And we find a lot of social confusion. I was once interviewing a stay-at-home dad whose wife made a lot of money, and he confessed to me, I'd really like to buy my wife a piece of jewelry, but I can't figure out how much to spend because she is the one who makes the money. So we hear a lot of everyday dilemmas and people trying to figure out this new system.
And that stay-at-home dad, when he goes to the party or goes to an event with his wife, the first question he's asked is, so what do you do? And that's their greatest fear, because they're not being supported. They don't have the support groups. They don't have the 60 years of support that the women's movement has had. We're starting a whole new generation that doesn't get the kind of support they need to help them as we're moving into this new world, as they're moving into a world where 2/3 of all the
Isn't that how women have felt for so long, that we haven't gotten the support that we need?
Well, women have had three periods of a women's movement. You go back 60 years and you've had support groups being formed. Almost every corporation has a women's group. There are no men's groups. Churches, local organizations, community groups are not supporting men the way they're supporting women, and men are not supporting men the way that women are supporting women.
But in all the numbers, though, really, women can maintain dominance, right? Men make more money. Women make a smaller percentage. Women, if you look at the top CEO list, if you look at politics, kind of in every single category, actually, men are doing just fine, and certainly better than women.
Until you get into the other under 30, and what I really focus on in the book is our sons, and the trends that we're seeing and the patterns we're seeing, and what our sons are coming into in terms of the opportunities they have. They're undereducated. They're more likely, boys in high school are more likely to be 50% more likely to be failing math, science, and reading. They're less likely to get into the colleges because they're economically, a college degree doesn't mean as much to them. They only earn 10% more in lifetime with a college degree versus women who are likely to earn 30 to 40% more with a college degree.
So, Jodi, we're hearing all kinds of news about how the world is changing, including more and more people are getting married later, more and more single women are becoming an important force. How does society sort all this out?
Well, some of it I think is experienced as very welcome. For instance, when I've interviewed younger men, some of them have been grateful and happy to have the expectation of having a spouse who will earn. When you look at the fact that a private school college education costs $250,000 now, there are a lot of younger men who don't want to assume the burden of providing solely. But I think that Soledad is right to point out that the barriers for women are especially stubborn in many cases. And so we've got this sort of complex dual situation that often ends up feeling less like men are dominant than women are dominant, but that people are sharing the anxiety of earning money and raising a family more equally than ever before.
Is the flip side of anxiety the opportunity to spend time with your children? You look at someone like Mark Zuckerberg, who takes a paternity leave, who's kind of a role model. I don't know that there's a lot of men his age who do that.
I do acknowledge in my book that even where both parents are working, women, and even where the woman is out earning the men, which is in 50% or more of those homes, women are still doing more housework, they're still doing more child care. That's changing with younger generations, but we really need to support the men and create a better dynamic and a better narrative, especially in media and advertising, which portrays men often as idiots, buffoons. Homer Simpson is the most iconic TV dad of the last 20 years. And advertising often portrays men as not able to change the baby's diaper or pick out their own analgesic. We need to change the narrative around young men, and we also need to create a better sense of the man's role in a relationship and help him understand 85% of all heterosexual relationships that end are ended by the woman.
Jack Myers, Jodi Kantor, thank you very much. The book's called The Future of Men. It goes on sale today.